2:43 a.m. The Crimean night flickers, orange against black. A drone crosses low over the lagoon, engines whispering. No spotlight, no radar ping, no warning, then impact. A column of fire rises, twisting into the sky. The blast rolls across the plain like thunder under glass. 2,000 tons of oil ignite. The refinery lights the horizon for miles. Inside Russian command posts, instruments flash red, but no one can find the intruder. No flight track, no radar return. The strike didn't come from the air, it came from silence. This is Operation Black Ember, a mission planned in patience, delivered in seconds. And it begins with one idea. If you can stop the fuel, you can stop the war. In modern war, fuel is not logistics, it is power. Every T-90M ProRive 3 main battle tank drinks nearly 400 liters of diesel every 100 kilometers. Each BMP-3 infantry vehicle needs constant convoys to feed it. Even a Mi-8AM TSH transport helicopter burns 800 kilograms of fuel an hour. Cut the flow, and the machines stop. In 2024, Ukraine began targeting fuel depots across occupied territory: Belgorod, Rostov, Luhansk. The world saw explosions. Commanders saw paralysis. Because when a fuel depot burns, it doesn't just destroy tanks, it cripples the tempo of war. Every rocket launcher waiting for resupply goes silent. Every truck stalls. Every air sortie waits on ground crews with empty hoses. Russia called the strikes symbolic. But soldiers on the front line called them something else: crippling. Behind each attack stood data, satellite imagery, intercepted logistics transmissions, analysts tracking convoys from refinery to rail hub to forward depot. The pattern was clear. Russia's logistics pulse ran on routine and predictability. Ukraine would turn that predictability into a weakness. The target was known to satellite operators as Depot 17, a fuel storage complex in occupied Luhansk. 20 steel tanks, each capable of holding 100 tons of diesel, surrounded by fencing, lights, and a platoon of guards from the Rosgvardia. For weeks, Ukrainian intelligence watched. Thermal scopes measured tank temperatures. Satellite passes confirmed truck traffic. Then came the pattern: refueling cycles every 11 days. Convoys of KAMAZ 65225 heavy tankers rolling in from Belgorod at dusk. Each vehicle carried 30 tons of diesel. A convoy of 10 meant 300 tons of fuel arriving in one night. Ukraine waited for the moment when tanks were full, pipes primed, and pressure high. Strike too soon, and you burn half-empty steel. Strike too late, and the fuel is gone. Timing was everything. Intelligence teams watched the last convoy arrive under moonlight. The heat signature spread across the site like veins. Confirmation came through the encrypted channel. All tanks full. Window open. Operation authorization was signed at 1:12 a.m., launch in 5 minutes. Model number 2, KAMAZ 65225 heavy fuel tanker, 8x8 logistics platform, 450 horsepower, YAMZ 6585 engine. From a forward launch site near Zaporizhzhia, a UJ-22 airborne drone rose into the night. Wingspan, 3 meters. Range, 800 kilometers. Payload, 20 kilograms of thermobaric compound. Guidance was autonomous for 90% of the flight. Operators watched through infrared feeds, tracking the ghost across the ice of the Sivash Lagoon. At 20 meters altitude, it skimmed under radar. The Russian Panzer S-1 batteries near Jankoy never registered a thing. 1 hour and 40 minutes into flight, the UJ-22 banked north. Its navigation beacon locked onto Depot 17. Simultaneously, 3 Punisher UAVs lifted off from Kherson sector. Their task: hit the pipeline junctions after the initial blast. At 1:17 a.m., the first drone released its payload. A blinding flash erupted, then another, then 12 more in succession. The ground shook, fuel tanks burst like dominoes. Flames rose hundreds of feet high, casting light visible from orbit. Every pipeline feeding the depot ruptured at once. For hours, the sky burned orange over Luhansk. Radio traffic was chaos. Command posts lost link to 3 armored brigades waiting for fuel. By sunrise, Depot 17 was gone. Nothing left but molten steel and cracked concrete. Models number 3, UJ-22 Airborne/Punisher UAV, Ukrainian long-range and tactical strike drones. By dawn, satellite constellations captured the aftermath. 20 craters, every tank destroyed. Black smoke punching through the clouds. Thermal imaging confirmed what operators already knew. Complete detonation. 2,000 tons of diesel gone. The flames burned for 18 hours. Steel melted into rivers. In the following 48 hours, reports from the front began to pour in. Mechanized battalions south of Svatove had stopped moving. T-72, B-3 tanks were stranded in assembly fields. Diesel reserves depleted. Convoys scheduled to refuel at Depot 17 were forced to divert over 120 kilometers east. Each diversion meant hours lost, and exposure to Ukrainian ambush drones. The ripple was immediate. Supply trucks delayed. Artillery reloads postponed. Armored maneuvers canceled. Even the humble MTLB multi-purpose carriers, Russia's logistics workhorses, sat motionless, engines cold, their operators waiting for orders that never came. Model number 4, T-72, B-3 main battle tank/MTLB carrier, frontline armor and transport. The strike had done more than burn fuel. It had burned time. And in warfare, time is the one resource that cannot be replaced. Ukraine's general staff issued no statement, just a single line through the military channel. Target neutralized. Objective achieved. But across intelligence circles, the assessment was unanimous. This wasn't sabotage, it was logistics warfare. Every liter lost meant fewer rockets launched, fewer tanks rolling, fewer aircraft flying. By the end of the week, open-source analysts tracked a 17% reduction in Russian fuel shipments along the Belgorod-Donetsk corridor. A battlefield slowed by absence. A war machine choking on its own dependence. Strategic repercussions and countermoves. The Kremlin's response was swift and defensive. Within days, satellite imagery showed convoys of KAMAZ 5350 trucks hauling fuel deeper into Russian territory. Temporary depots sprang up near Rostov and Voronezh, but moving fuel inland created a paradox. The further it traveled, the longer the line of vulnerability became. Each kilometer, another chance for drones, saboteurs, or precision missiles. For Ukraine, that was opportunity. For Russia, it was fear. At the same time, Moscow increased air defense coverage around remaining depots. Dozens of Panzer S-1 batteries were repositioned from frontline duties to guard logistic hubs. The move weakened their tactical air protection. Frontline units now faced Ukrainian drones with fewer interceptors. Every defense shift created a gap somewhere else. Model number 5, Panzer S-1 Air Defense System, twin 30mm cannons plus 57 E-6 missiles. Russia's generals understood the math: protect your fuel, lose your reach. And Ukraine exploited that equation. In Western command briefings, analysts called it a smart escalation. Targeting logistics instead of manpower reduced casualties but multiplied disruption. It also sent a message to Moscow. No rear area is safe. Economically, the consequences began to surface. With multiple refineries hit across the year, Russia's refining capacity dropped by nearly 20%. Energy economists calculated the cost in the billions. Not just in fuel lost, but in logistics slowed, morale shaken, and export credibility eroded. When fuel burns, currency burns with it. For the soldiers on the ground, it meant something simpler. Less diesel, less movement, less firepower. Commanders began rationing, convoys shortened, armor advances slowed. Even the BM-21 Grad rocket systems, legendary for their saturation fire, fell quiet in several sectors. Their 6x6 launch trucks required fuel that now simply didn't exist. Model number 6, BM-21 Grad Multiple Launch Rocket System, diesel-powered 122mm MLRS. For the first time since the invasion began, the pace of war shifted. Not through diplomacy, not through surrender, but through supply. Inside Ukraine's operations center, screens showed lines on a map fading from red to gray. Each gray zone represented a stalled unit, a convoy turned back, a depot offline. A quiet victory, measured not in explosions, but in absence. Strategically, the operation proved one thing: control fuel, and you control time. human element and reflection. Every precision strike begins with human patience. Long nights, cold watch posts, eyes on screens that never blink. At the operations bunker near Zaporizhzhia, drone pilots recalled the silence before launch. No cheering, no tension, just focus. They watched telemetry numbers scroll by, altitude, speed, bearing. They listened for one phrase from the mission lead, window open, then execution. Minutes later, a glow on the horizon signaled success. For some, relief. For others, quiet disbelief at what they'd just done. On the opposite side, at Depot 17, Russian fuel officers began their shift unaware of what was coming. One technician later reported seeing a faint glimmer in the sky before everything turned white. No warning siren and no time to react. In that instant, war's reality compressed into a single flash of heat and sound. And then, silence again. The human cost remained uncertain. But every soldier in Luhansk woke to a new understanding. The rear lines were no longer safe. Analysts would later call it a turning point in 21st century warfare. Not a battle of tanks or trenches, but of sensors, data, and timing. A shift from brute force to precision disruption. A new kind of front line, drawn not on the ground but in logistics maps and satellite feeds. Ukraine had shown that in a world of drones and networks, even an army's fuel could become its greatest liability. There is also irony. For decades, Russia's power lay in energy. Oil, gas, fuel. It built its economy on hydrocarbons. Now those same hydrocarbons were its vulnerability. When Ukraine struck Depot 17, it wasn't just attacking a target, it was attacking an idea. That fuel equals dominance. And in one night, that idea burned. Chapter 8. CTA/Open Loop Close. The flames of Depot 17 are long gone now. But their reflection still colors the strategy boards of every military analyst watching this war. Ukraine didn't just destroy 2,000 tons of oil, it destroyed predictability. And predictability is what generals rely on most. If you followed this far, you understand the pattern. This isn't random. This is deliberate evolution. Each operation builds on the last. Each strike teaches new lessons. If you found this breakdown powerful, hit like. Subscribe. Ring the bell so you don't miss the next chapter, Operation Glass Hammer. The mission that could take Ukraine's reach even deeper into Russia's logistics heartland. Because when a nation learns to weaponize patience to turn waiting into warfare, there is no safe refueling moment left. The next depot, the next convoy, the next night, they're already being watched. And when the window opens again, the sky will burn once more. Stay vigilant.